Okay, hello everyone. Welcome back on the AgriAdventures platform, the AgriAdventures channel. And today we have another interview, AgriAdventures interview with a local South Australian producer. Welcome, Gerard
Yes,
Callahan. Is that right?
Callanan.
Perfect. It's almost there. Almost there. I can do it. I can do it. Always like that. That's so good. And I had the chance and opportunity for us following to had the opportunity to meet Gerard at the Wilaga Farmers Market in one of my interesting tours. And then I found it interesting because it's cheeses and the passion he was speaking about those cheeses. So I found a way to get in contact with him and have the chance to have him with us for today, speaking a bit more about himself and his own business, which is, how do I pronounce it? Lilyarra? Is that right?
Lilyarra. Yep.
Lilyarra. Okay, perfect. Lilyarra Artisan Cheeses. So, Gerard, generally, Gerard or Jared?
Jared.
Gerard. Okay. Gerard, generally I ask to the people when they have these interviews to tell a little bit more about their self. So why they ended to do what they are doing, what are their professional pathways to the business, and maybe a little bit of the family history if you want to do. So what do you think?
Cool. My background is in design, branding, identity, packaging. I worked in Melbourne for quite some time and then moved to Europe. I was based in Ireland for almost 10 years, worked with a number of design studios there. And while being based in Europe, I spent quite a bit of time traveling, as you do, exploring food and wine. And near where I lived right in the middle of Dublin, and there's an organic and gourmet food market that goes on in Temple Bar in the middle of Dublin, which is it's a beautiful area. It's part of the old city, Temple Bar. Bar is an Irish term for walk, as opposed to bar being the term for going for a place for a drink. So Temple Bar was the old city and the old part where people walk through, and it's all beautiful old cobbled streets, which has now become part of the cultural quarter and food quarter in Dublin. And they had this fantastic organic and gourmet food market there every week. And I used to go there and visit the cheesemongers first, and with a lot of Irish local cheeses, British cheeses, French, Spanish, and take that home for dinner that night. Go via the wine shops. Just collect great food. Always had a passion for cheese, a passion for wine and food. I'm also as part of my journey, wine has been an important part, and I'm just completing my WSET diploma in wine at the moment. I've just got a couple of exams left, so I've passed all my tasting exams. So my focus earlier on in the travels was more wine, but as time went on, I found cheese fascinated me more, and there was one local producer at the market called Corleggy, who are in Belturbet up on the border of Northern Ireland. And I got to know Silka, who's the cheesemaker there, quite well. And she offered a summer cheese school. And I thought, that sounds great. So I went along to this summer cheese school and made some raw milk cheeses and loved it. And found that, like, my design background, where design is part about it's creative, but there's also a technical side of it. I found that cheese making was both creative and had that scientific technical side too. So it sort of appealed to me, even though the fields are quite different. So I started busily making cheeses when I could in my apartment in Dublin, and learning more and traveling and visiting artisan cheesemakers in Europe. And then when I moved back to Australia, I did some further training with the National College of Dairy Education in Melbourne, and did a couple of different courses there on farmhouse cheesemaking and various other aspects. And eventually got some work with Yarra Valley Dairy, who I worked for 3 or 4 years. Extensively worked throughout the business there, everything from, delivering cheeses to, throughout Melbourne, and meeting, some of the distributors and producers and various retailers to making the cheese, and also taking care of the affinage of the cheese. And the affinage is a French word, which is meaning, to look after the maturation of. So, I looked after the development and maturation of everything from white mold cheeses through to, 18 months to 2-year aged semi-hard cheeses. And that was great. And then I found myself, I moved over to South Australia about 5 years ago. I found some work with Cheese Culture in Adelaide, and I worked with them as the affineur for 1.5 years. Had a wonderful maturation room, about 50 different cheeses from around the world that I looked after the maturation of. While I was doing that, I started setting up Lilyarra Cheeses with a local goat dairy farm, and we shared a facility up until October last year. So we were producing there for about 3 years, and now I'm in the process of setting up my own factory in Victor Harbor, and I'll be developing some not just goat cheeses, which has been a speciality, but also some cow cheeses as well.
Okay, that is an interesting journey. Yeah. It's so interesting to me that a lot of people I met in the food journey that I had in the last 5 years, they were not coming directly from the food industry, but they were passionate about something inside in the food industry, and then they became part of the food industry because of that passion. Yeah. So it's fun because also sometimes, many times, I had people mentioning the fact that working in the food industry is easy because obviously making cheese or making that or making the other is easy, and then and many of them, they failed because they did not have this passion. And then it doesn't look like, but it's the opposite. Food industry is a nightmare. There is a lot of competition, and there is a lot of communication to the need to be done, and people is not aware about it. So it's nice that when you have somebody that is specialized in communication and in design of things, which is mainly having one step ahead, because when you have to deal with a winemaker or the cheese maker or the chocolate maker, they are makers, but they don't really grasp what's the next step after. And that is like a game change, because you speak about one thing and it's completely changed the day after. So it's really nice, really nice. And so you were mentioning your business that is the result of this pathway. It started 3 years ago. Is that right?
About 3 years ago, yeah.
About 3 years ago, here in South Australia. And so obviously people that's interested to try your products, try your cheeses, they have a chance to come over and buy them from the Willanga Farmers Market. Is that right?
They will. At the moment, I've got a little production break because of working into the new factory situation. So at this stage, I would say I'd be back at Willanga by September. So there'll be a bit of a break, but that will include some new products, and which is very exciting. I've just actually tasted. I've been doing a number of different trials. I've just tasted last week the blue cheese trial, and that's a recipe I've been working on for about 2 years.
6 minutes.
Not anymore. And it is delicious. It's so good. Really mild. That creaminess that comes through the milk is just a wonderful balance. It's got saltiness, it's got the blue, it's got the creaminess, and I'm pretty delighted with it. So that's that's something to keep an eye out for. So by no means idle, but yeah, keep an eye out for for Willunga, checking the Willunga website, whether I'm in or out. But that will be, I'll be back when I do.
You do you distribute your cheeses somewhere else? Like, are there shops at the moment that they can access your cheeses, or just through your direct sale through the Willunga Farmers Market?
Normally, the Smelly Cheese Shop in the Central Market, they have the goat cheese with dill. They have the white goat camembert style, and usually have the Kosh Goa, which is the Irish style farmhouse cheddar.
Okay.
Also, there's a few wineries around, such as K1, and there is also Jetty Food Store in Port Elliot. So there's some semi-hard cheese available through Jetty Food Store, and I know K1 still have semi-hard cheese in stock, which is great because you can go down there and have wine and cheese and sit by that beautiful lake in that gorgeous environment there. But they're the main places at the moment. We'll be looking at with production increasing. That September, we'll be looking at getting it further out in the Fleurieu, and our focus is around the Fleurieu, because this is our region. So we'll be looking at getting it everywhere. Yeah.
Nice. So people that are interested to know more, is that a website?
The website is underway. There's a Facebook page. In the next couple of weeks, that will be switching to the website, and you'll be able to get a lot more information there.
Okay, so that is also a good thing for the followers. Obviously, you can Google and you can find Facebook page, and there will be the website. So for more information. And okay, so why you got to this point in some way clear? You got fascinated by the world that there is behind cheeses and wine, because also wine is correlated, is part of the game. And then obviously, go around in Europe, that is the place where you get fascinated about it, because there's so little difference, but sometimes small but huge differences. And but where is another question, like, where you want to go with this project? Like, what's the vision that you have for your cheese? Why you're doing that? That is a really interesting.
Building a business that I have interest and passion in is first and foremost, and I've been lucky enough to do that all the way through. I ran a design studio in Melbourne for quite a long time and worked with some great clients there. Running a business and being passionate about design. So in the next 5 years, I'll be looking to establish Lilyarra on the Fleurieu region, expand the business, distribute further afield, distribute nationally, perhaps internationally, depending, just continue to develop those products, refine them. They're great products. We picked up 4 gold medals in last year's South Australian Dairy Awards, which was we were delighted with. Many of some of the cheeses, such as our goat curd with dill, scored equally to Meredith Dairy, who I have great respect for because they make amazing cheeses. So we were really delighted with the result, and we look forward to producing better and better cheese, continuing to refine that. And it's, we're really happy that we're able to find good quality milk from really good ethical sources, farmers that look after their animals, take great care with them, feed them well. They've got great shelter, because the care of the animals is important to us, not just from a point of view of getting, quality product, quality milk, but also just the ethics of farming, of looking after, animals, to being a caretaker. So, we're really delighted that our milk comes from those good sources.
Absolutely, absolutely. And maybe not for this time, or maybe one another time, you could tell us about why unpasteurized cheese not in Australia. It's like, oh, no. Let's keep it. That is a day of topic over here. Okay, I think this interview was, it's flown away, like it's already gone all the time we had available. It was really nice to have you with us, Gerard, and hopefully we will have the chance and opportunity to work together in some events here in South Australia, or at least I will be able to see you when I have one of my tours over there with my guests and friends.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for being with us.
No worries.
And see you the next time.
Cool. Thanks for having us.
Thanks. You. Bye.
Bye.